repo here, which is just the online repo. I've been adding, stuff here and there. I'm not fully done. This is just good to know. This is really a reference for me, myself, and I, and you know, um, I find this to be useful. I find this to be useful, especially for the schemes and getting and dealing with the modules, right? So we have my schemes, which for me I did a hotel database with guests and then rooms. So obviously each guest could be having rooms. Multiple guests can have rooms, but there is only one room, So if we go into my app, we have my server. Obviously, we have the environmental variables that npm package. Which you go into here, we have the nodemon, we have Morgan, which is the middleware, we have mongoose express, and then the .env. From there, we have our server, which is our main point of contact that pretty much starts everything, right? So we're gonna import the config. We're gonna get the app, which is getting the index of this right here. And then from there, we're going to import our database configurations. I will go in here, configurations. There it is, mongoose. We import mongoose, and then we do name a variable, async await try catch, and we try to connect to our MongoDB database. However, I did notice that this is deprecated. So when I ran this with, within the object and did all that, it actually told me that it's no longer used. It ignored it, and then I just took it out and it ran perfectly. So that's no longer needed. From just watching the videos and trying to connect my database, I guess before it would throw an error at you or yell at you, etc. And then within my app folder, we have controller, database, modules, routes, and then the main point that is for the app folder, which would be where we define our main route handler, which is the API version 1. And then we have our middleware right here. So you parse the JSON, and then this, I'm not really sure what Morgan does, to be honest. I'm not gonna front. I don't know what Morgan does, to be honest. I need to search that up more, but I know it's important. I know it makes it easier, and I'm assuming this is to be in development mode. I'm not sure. So let's go to routes. In my routes folder, we have the main index, which I have two routes, which is guests, rooms, and then from there we have the routes, which are exported from the controller, and then they're just easily used, so you don't have a bunch of logic. That's what the controller's for. The routes are literally just handling. I mean, it's like React.js, React routers. You just kind of make sure it's going to the right direction or the right URL. You know what I'm saying? And so then we export the router, right? So we can get all these, right? So from routes, we'd go to our controller, which this is guest routes. Yep, this connects it to the routes. So wait, this would be example. This would be like API, API version 1. I already wrote it right here. API version 1 guests and then rooms, right? Because it's from the other route from right here. And then from there we have our controller, which is handling all the logic. We have the rooms logic, which is we're importing the models, which the models are just going to is the schemas. So they're gonna make like collections within your MongoDB database. And then right here we have just objects of, we have max length. This is just error handling or validation to make sure when you put it into, it's just not going to accept everything, right? So this is unique. So you can't just type in the same email address, right? It only exists. It's all required, right? I want them to fill out everything. I don't want them to leave something else, right? And then phone number, that's unique. You're not going to have the same phone number, correct? And then you just have some error messages and within the array of these properties. So, regular expressions, and then you have the error message. And the same here, 50 characters, error message, property, error message, or value of the property, error message. And it's pretty much similar throughout this whole thing. How I connected the two collections is by reservations, by getting a guest ID and making the guest ID the object ID that MongoDB generates automatically when you push data to your database. It's going to create a new unique object ID, and then I get that, and we reference the guest scheme, which I learned it just if you make this new class object, if you make this rooms, this is going to just be lowercase, boom, in the collections of your MongoDB database. So they just actually lowercase whatever you put here. So from there we have our and that's pretty much it. So now let's go to Postman over here, and we're gonna just kind of test everything. I know I kind of skipped through the logic of the the controllers, but it's pretty repetitive. This is not going to have a lot of like put in this exact. This is just the middleware, more or less. Like this is just to hit the back end point, do what needs to be done, and then do stuff. So I'm assuming in future lessons we're missing a view right here. So I'm assuming we're gonna have a view, and that's gonna be like the front end, right? And you're gonna pull data from change data, pull data, change data from throughout the application, right? Because right now that's all we're really missing. And so and then we have our error handling, right? So we have internal server error. We have 422, which is the validation error, which we made ourselves, which is from Mongoose, which we added our own error handling messages to make it user friendly, or more so. And then it gets really repetitive. Where I just got a bunch of try catch statements. Try, catch, asynchronous, and then await, and then we'll run it through. And then of course I'm exporting everything. If you don't, it's not gonna work. It's gonna scream at you. And then let's go to here. So guess we have here. That's not right. So that would be guess to get all. We're gonna save that, and this is my kind of collections I made, and we just saved these little windows, which I love. Did not know that was a thing. And as you can see, it's pulling all this data, which is all the guess here. I was kind of testing it throughout, coding it, trial and error and stuff, and just trying to break it and trying to see what's working, what's not. So I have these guess. I have the unique identifiers, object IDs that are generated, so we can just get that, which is Jane Doe. And then we will, as you can see, they're already pre-filled. That's what I like. So guess by ID, we get that. If we throw in some crazy stuff, we get internal server error. And obviously you can go more into error handling and defining these messages. I'm just kind of running out of time, to be honest. So, but I'm gonna go back, and then yeah, so we get by ID crate. We have creating it, so let's just do test, right? And the phone number, we got to be different, and send. We got a good. Then we go over here, and as you can see, test is right here. So I'm gonna try to just hit that again. Oof. Yep, that's not good. Yep, so it did make 2 tests. So even though in my control, this is kind of weird to me, right? So even though in my, my models of guess, I have this unique identifier on the email and the phone, it did not, it just kind of ignored it. So that's kind of weird. It's very strange to me. I'm gonna have to look into that. Update, the same. We just do test 23 information, and we'll just leave that phone number like so, and send it. And test 23, here we go. So these are all working, and then finally, yeah, we'll delete something. So we'll delete this right here, this test. So send it. Got back when it's deleted. Go to all, and it was deleted. C5, C2. Yep. So this was just multiple tests. Yeah, because the other one had dashes. So we can, yep. And then we go to rooms. This was a little kind of hard to structure. I kind of, shot myself in the foot on this one, because I just kind of wanted it to be good and make sense, logical sense, like how I would do it. And I don't know, that's like look, I mean, this just took forever to just figure out, honestly. But yeah, one, just to have a number of room, and then we have just checkout date, check-in date, checkout date, the guest ID, which connects the databases together. We have the balloon value, is it pre-faults, right? So let's get all the rooms. So we have all the rooms, and you can see that they actually generate. I put in guest ID from the guess. So if you go over to get room by ID, I already have one pre-filled, but if you go over here, you would get this ID, and we just change this, right? And then air handling again a little bit. I think I need to learn more on the air handling, just do better on the air handling, but let's see. And then we have 163 at 70, it's booked true. And then the guess ID, which we would, let's save that. Let's go over here. Let's pull a guest. And we're going to get, let's see. There's a lot of hunter straws. I've just been spamming it. We're going to get this test. Yeah, we're going to get this test. So, great. And let's just put that in there. And then let's create. So, now we have, let's see. This needs to be more organized too, honestly. And I think it's because I'm just returning a room with the body instead of just the body itself, because when I do create, you see room object, so it's literally like an object within an object, and it's just layered. And so honestly, if I took this out, it'd probably be cleaner, kind of like how I'm doing with the posts, right? And so let's go back here. and I put in 160. Yeah, here it is. And it's just going to be connected to that guest with the guest ID of the object ID.